As an artist collaboration, we've given shape and depth to some of the most complicated topics of our time, making them easily accessible for those who seek to understand. We've given voice and space to the stories that often go ignored. Please take a moment to consider being a patron, make a donation, or join Rockfin. Thank you. Hi, welcome to another episode of Bookmark.
Pullquote.
Or Pull, oh my gosh, Pullquote.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Welcome, you guys. We are so excited. JP, would you like to do the introduction for our first friend?
Yeah, so we have two guests today. We're talking restaurants today, and we're talking about how restaurants have been affected by this past year. We have two guests, one from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and the other from Ashland, North Carolina, or thereabouts. Asheville. Or thereabouts, both. And let's see, our friend Kimberly Waigand, I'm sorry, is the owner and proprietor of the Cracked Egg restaurant located near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. She and her husband opened the restaurant October of 2015. Very soon after, the national emergency was declared on March 15th, 2020. Kimberly was ordered to close her business. Kimberly defied the unlawful order and chose to remain open. Since then, legal action has been taken by the county against Cracked Egg, and Kimberly and her husband have been filed. And Kimberly and her husband have filed 2 lawsuits in federal court. Her attorney has stated that their civil rights have been violated and that the governor's orders are not valid, and his universal mask mandate was ruling by executive fiat, and that he does not have the authority to order such an order. Okay.
And we also have with us Kate Feathers. And our friend Kate was the manager of the Rise and Shine Cafe in Asheville, North Carolina. The cafe owners decided to remain open, defying the unlawful mandates issued by their local government. And we're going to hear what Kate has to say about that. So, welcome, Kimberly and Kate.
Hi.
Hello.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining today. We've actually been to Kimberly's cafe, and Kimberly is one of those owners that's actually on the floor working with the staff.
Yeah,
and
we didn't know each other back then, but we were there one morning having breakfast
last fall, actually.
Yeah, right before everything happened in October for you.
Right.
But we'll get to that in a minute.
We'll get to that. What we'd like to do is begin with Kate. She has a very compelling story. And Kate, if you could just introduce yourself, and let's begin with the national emergency when it was declared in middle of March 2020. What happened to the cafe? What happened to you after that? And just kind of let us, give us an idea of what's going on.
Okay. Well, I was a manager, server, food buyer for the restaurant, the cafe during that time. But I didn't work full time there. Also took care of the owner's children. And so when everything shut down, everything I did shut down. The owners actually did close the restaurant. They tried to stay open for a few days and do takeout, but it was bacon and eggs, and nobody wants to take out bacon and eggs. So they ended up closing the restaurant until mid-May. And the state of North Carolina, I can't remember if it was federal or the state, but they were doing all these phases. I guess every state had a different phase. So they were opening in May, saying that restaurants could open with, I think it was half capacity, wearing a mask, sanitizing, all that stuff, but you could sit in at that time in May. And it was only a few days before they were allowing that phase to happen that the owner of the restaurant contacted me and the cook, and she said she was concerned that we weren't getting unemployment yet. We've been a couple of months. I was still stubbornly thinking like this can't go on. I didn't I didn't want to live off the state. I didn't want to accept any unemployment. So when she said, hey, I want to open back up, would you come work? I said, absolutely, because this is all ridiculous and I will come back to work, no problem. And so I think it was like 3 days before the phase, whatever, that was allowed to open. But we opened up not doing masks. We set out some hand sanitizer. If people want to, they can. If they want to wear masks, they could. If you didn't want to, you didn't have to. I think eventually we pulled some tables out after the police came in the first day that we opened, because there were a bunch of calls made, by concerned people. The one being our next door neighbor's business on the other side of our wall owned a fish store, still does. And so he was angry. His fiance at the time came in yelling at us and got on her phone and called the police. And
a fish restaurant or like an aquarium store?
No, they sell fresh fish for eating,
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And so the police came in, and every time, and I guess we were all there working at that time. On that day, it was like they came in, I think it was the first day, and they warned us, but nobody could ever, I think it was 3 or 4 cops came in, including the chief of police, and it was a couple times in the same day. They could never, and they were all very sorry. They all were like the sorriest sacks you've ever seen, with their tails tucked and their mask covering their face. And they were all like, we don't want to do this. Some of the cops on the side were like, yeah, I don't get paid enough to monitor the, masks and stuff.
Yeah.
And
that's their job.
I know. They didn't want to. They didn't want to do their job. And this is the whole psychological, approach of this whole thing, the whole control of what are they going to do? Not do their job? If they have families and all that stuff comes into play. So they were sorry, but they came in and they couldn't tell us what would happen as far as punishment. And, you'll get a citation. So the owner and I had all assumed that, the restaurant would get a citation. And so the owner was like, if we get a citation, I'll pay for it. So I just went into work figuring I had, I'm just a waitress making pennies, and $2.13 an hour plus tips, and how many people are coming in during COVID. Actually, we did get a lot of people come in and support us, especially after I was cited. When they heard, a waitress was cited, people flooded in, and I made a lot of tips in a few days. But anyway, the cops came in, and so I wasn't cited that initial day. I think it was the next day. The owner wasn't there. She's a hands-off owner. It was like a pet project that, she always had a pet project and had a lot of money and has, homes here, rentals here, written a book. She's always doing different projects. So it wasn't like Kimberly or any other small business owner that I know of who is real, in the pit doing all the work. So she's hands off. So she wasn't there. She was running her kids around or picking up something to bring in, some food or something. And so that's when the cops came in again and to write me a citation or write a citation.
Yeah, in fact, these are the citations.
And then
it's a one citation. It's just like I have it here. It's just one paper. And
yeah.
And every time the cops came in, I'm all about customer service.
Yeah.
I was like, would you like some breakfast? Can I offer you a seat? Can you give you want something to go? You need a coffee? And they all giggled and were very kind but polite. But they're like, no, we're just here to tell you can't be open. And I was like, walk around breathing. I didn't hold back with them.
Right. Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't hold back with the police, and I've dealt with them a few times, and I'm honest. I'm all about the truth. I'm honest.
There is a media story that we would like to play. We can play it, right? We brought it up before, but we're going to actually play it, and then we'll come back to you. Okay.
Okay. So let me bring that up here. Let's see. That is it.
That one?
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go.
And are we ready to go?
All right, now some of our top COVID-19 headlines this evening. Let's go to North Carolina, where Governor Roy Cooper says the state will move into phase 1 of reopening Friday night at 5 p.m. along with
That's right.
changes
That's
in
right.
clothing,
Mhm.
sporting goods, books, hardware stores, and other retailers will be allowed to reopen. Now, stores must practice social distancing, screen employees for symptoms, and implement enhanced
Well, I
cleaning
thought this was it.
protocols.
Hang on, this might be it.
The volume's a bit low.
Okay.
Okay, that wasn't it.
Well, you tried.
Yeah, let's try.
Oh,
Okay, so hang on one second. Sorry about that. Let's
okay. Let's come back.
come back. So we do have the story. It's after that ad, right?
Is it? I don't
Oh,
know.
okay.
That's, I looked at this once and I thought that was the story.
Yeah. So we had a story about Rise and Shine.
Yeah.
And all of these clips that you get from the media, they always introduce the ad. So what we can do is, is play it through, and then once
Yeah.
the ad plays, we can just play the story.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. Well,
So-
we can't see you right now, but because I'm looking at the video.
right. But we'll play it
Yeah. Okay. So what happened then when you got the citation, Kate?
after you got the citation. So this is it. Let's actually play the story.
Okay. Let's see. I contacted. Okay. Well, I'm not going to talk about that. Let's see. It's a little cumbersome to do this, but let's see.
Yeah, we don't have a technical crew
Right.
yet.
Making the most moves.
Is this it?
As the founder and CEO of Ford, the
No.
professional
Nope.
recruiting
Okay,
company,
we're
Yeah.
going to stop that.
Rhiannon Ford is off.
Yeah,
All
we
right.
had your story, Kate. We
It's
had
the
it.
link I
Yeah.
sent you, right?
Yeah.
So what happened after you got your citation?
So, I mean, interestingly, this female cop is writing my citation, and I look at her. I realize she's someone I'd met at a party a few years before. So I'm like, hey, do you know Wendy? Blah, blah, blah. And she's like, yeah. And I was like, remember me from that party? She was like, she was shaking.
Wow.
I felt sorry for her. She was shaking. These people didn't want to write these. They didn't want to do this, but they made a choice.
Well-
So she wrote me this citation. She had to call it in to get the language, call it into the station, I
Yeah,
guess. 'Cause she didn't
that
know what
was-
to write,
that
and
was-
it says, I did unlawfully and willfully fail to comply and violate a provision of a declaration or executive order issued pursuant to GS 166A-19.30, to wit, open restaurant for sit-in dining. That's what I was guilty of. And so then I didn't know that made me a criminal until I went to apply for housing, not a couple months, the next month. And I was rejected from this corporate apartments. They're like, well, your record came up. And I was like, what? So apparently, that's how much I don't pay attention. It's a class 2 misdemeanor. And so I was considered a criminal for this past year until I guess that's how it works in the system. Like, you're a criminal until you are proven innocent or whatever. So,
well, yeah, the fact that it was considered a criminal citation as opposed to anything else. What did you find out any reason why it was considered considered criminal activity?
I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea. I've told you my work, what I do outside of, I'm not a restaurant owner or a restaurant person all the time. I just kind of go where life takes me, my intuition. I do psychic work and astrology readings. And the whole time I was like, I don't need to look into this or get too heady about it, because my intuition is like, I will be fine. I'm going to be fine. I don't know how, but I will be fine. And because this is stupid. This is the dumbest thing I've ever experienced in my life, one of them. And so why it was considered, they didn't know. I mean, the cops didn't know. They could never give me an answer. They couldn't tell me how much it was going to be. They couldn't tell me what kind of a citation it was. They had no idea what in the law, where it was all new to them too. They didn't know. And they were sad and scared. And
So it sounds to me like you were cited for allowing people to sit inside the restaurant. Is that basically what it comes down to?
Yeah, I didn't drag anybody off the street. Like, our locals came in, these I mean, brings tears to my eyes. Like, I'll try not to cry. But there are a lot of like older retired people who don't have anyone who lived in the neighborhood who would come in every day or every. Kimberly experienced it too, you know, where we're like their family, and you know, they to get served food and someone to talk to and other locals that come in, and so they were extremely happy, and those people showed up, and people who got wind of us getting a citation, they came in and showed up. There was the cops kept circling around. We were open the next day, and I think that's when the owner and then her husband, who's doesn't work in the business, but he's a co-owner legally, so they got citations the next day. But they brought in these big suits. These, I don't know what they were, but they were police officers in suits during that whole time. OSHA had called, but OSHA had no like say in any of it, but people were calling OSHA and calling all these departments, and they would call in the health and safety inspector, all that stuff, and it was a chaotic mess, and then we were just there, you know, cooking and serving and dealing with customers. And so the owners I guess we opened 3 days before the phase 2 or whatever, or phase 3 or whatever phase it was. And so I got the first citation the first day. The second day, the owners got one. And then the third day, the owners got another one. So they each got 2 personal ones. And then the phase whatever opened. And then we cut the seating down to half capacity, but never required masks. So it was like, and then we weren't cited anytime after that. And then when they opened up to full capacity seating again, we just brought in more tables and chairs. So I mean, that was they stopped bothering us after. It was just like they wanted to make an example, and didn't continue the, you know, monitoring us about the masks and stuff. And then I guess I heard most recently from the lawyer that we had, because I'm not on good terms with the owners anymore. Because they're not real business people. They're not real, you know, small business owners who are like Kimberly and are in there getting dirty and, you know, working and have even had experience in the restaurant business. They had only bought and opened the place in September of 2019.
Right.
So,
wow.
You know,
okay.
Yeah. So
tell us a little bit about the experience then with you know, the lawsuit or the criminal court case, because I know that there was some weirdness with, you know, the lawyers and well, you tell the story.
Right.
Yeah. So as soon as we were cited, you know, they wanted to call in a lawyer. My ex-boyfriend is a lawyer. He and I were together 8 years, and we moved to Asheville together. We're still good friends. We share our dog, and he was the one who actually set up their business agreement. So we called him first, but he's a business attorney, originally from Chicago, so he doesn't have criminal background here or any criminal lawyer friends. But he kind of showed up to keep us calm, and just so we realized they weren't going to hire him. They told me from the beginning, like, Kate, we will take care of your citation. We will pay for everything, all your fees, anything. Don't worry about it. We'll take care of you. So that's another reason why I felt like, okay, at least financially, you know, the state can take this charge and shove it. I don't care. I know between me and God or whoever, there is nothing I did wrong.
Right.
And I mean, I feel that to my core. And I think that's why I don't know, God's on my side. I don't know. But yeah, serving my community food is, you know, not wrong. Anyway, so the owners started contacting lawyers. They wanted to find a constitutional lawyer. Couldn't find one. And then this lawyer, out of a couple of, I don't know how far away he is, like the next county or so, he's an elder law attorney, and he came out of nowhere and was like, you know, I'll do this pro bono. So, you know, the owners always wanting to save money and getting anything for cheap or free, as I realized how I was treated. got him. And my ex at the time told me, and I'm not always the best listener, you know, but he did mention that, I mean, I am a good listener, but during that time, it was all very confusing. And,
Sure,
you know,
yeah,
for him to be like, yeah, hire a lawyer. And I'm like, I don't have any money. He said that there would be a conflict. Like, one lawyer cannot represent two parties. So that lawyer couldn't represent me and them, because potentially things could go sideways. They could have thrown me under the bus. And if they ever, crazy, but if they got a deal, throw your poor waitress under the bus, you guys can skate free, you know, they may have taken if that ever happened. So that's the potential there.
Sure.
And so, like my ex said, you know, he said that's, you know, first semester law school. I don't know why that pro bono lawyer didn't, you know, realize that to begin with. So we had our first court date was October or something, but the courts were not open then because of COVID. And then our second date was January. It was like a couple days after the inauguration, or a day before. I always thought they started scheduling the stuff that sort of aligned with the election. So I was like, is this getting political? But anyway, it didn't. So then that was continued from January, and then the next date was May. And so I wasn't speaking to the owners at this point, but we both showed up to court. The owners showed up with their 6-year-old, I think, to use them as a shield or whatever. And so then they had to sit outside the court. And that's when the pro bono lawyer was like, you know, where are the other two? And I was like, they're outside. Well, why are they outside? Because they brought their kid. Why'd they bring their kid? And I'm like, because they're arrogant. And sorry, I'm honest.
Did you have
that was my feeling. And I was sitting in court really mad that I'm sitting here and these people aren't even like, you know, the owners just aren't stepping up. Like, I'm not going to go ask them, because I know that they're the type of people who are like, love it if someone comes and asks and begs for something. I'm like, I'm just not.
Right.
Well, Kate,
I'll do me. I got myself in this situation. I will handle it. Okay. You handle your own stuff. I think I was probably needed or wanted as a buffer, but I'm nobody's buffer. So
did you have a lawyer at that point?
So what?
Did you have your lawyer at that point?
Your own lawyer?
No, it was a pro bono lawyer still representing the both of us. So I think, I don't know if because I said that, something clicked in his head. The next court date, it was continued then. So the next court date was in June, but he had contacted me. And I don't know if he realized, well, they don't get along. So maybe, you know, I don't know if law school 101 kicked in, was like, I shouldn't represent them both.
Exactly. Such a conflict. Got it.
Such a conflict. So only a week before, I would say, if that, this last court date I had in June 1st, the pro bono lawyer contacted me and them and said, you know, there's a conflict here, and also that to get our own lawyers, but also to get one that is in our county and in the system. My ex had told me, and this is true, I've seen it with other people who've gone to like family court, that the system here, and I'm sure it's true in other places, although he said it wasn't as bad as in Chicago, I think maybe because it's a big place, but it's very incestuous. So it's all about who you know in the system. So he said he's like, I want you to take advantage of that. So hire someone locally in the system. And I did. And I let the owners know that I hired him and how much it was in an email. And they did not make an offer to pay for it or anything. So they haven't paid for it. So I put down a $750 retainer for this lawyer, and he was really excellent. He got it taken care of. Like, the citation was dismissed. I gave him my W-2 where I made $2,000 that year at Rise and Shine. And so it took a few days of talking to the DA, I guess, that he, you know, it was funny to see the difference. The DA with the pro bono lawyer from out of town, the month before, I watched their body language. She looked like she hated the guy. Like, just cold, don't want to talk to you. I was watching him trying to deliberate with her, and, you know, she's just like, whatever. And then this next month where she's dealing with the local lawyer, and she's all like flirty and open, and body language is completely different. And I'm like, okay, this is how it goes. So, it's unfortunate, but that's how the world is run. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So It's dismissed. And then the lawyer was nice and he said, we'll get this expunged for you. Just write us a positive review and we won't charge you. So I've done that and they're doing that. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I guess the expunction is just write a letter and send it in and,
Yeah.
So is that a positive review on
they
Right.
just asked for Google, but I go above and beyond. So I did Google, Yelp, and
that's what I was gonna say.
AVVO.
Yelp, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
I just copied and pasted.
I know that you don't have a relationship with Rise and Shine anymore.
Mhm.
What's going on with the cafe now? Are they having they're having separate legal issues, correct?
Well, so they have I know the husband and wife who own it, they had their own criminal citations. And then the pro bono lawyer did say to me, he said that he's like, oh, it's funny. I guess in May when we were at court, he said that I don't know, he didn't say it was funny. So if they watch this, whatever. But he said they just got served, the business got more citations. So a year later, the business is now getting some sort of punishment citation. So
Interesting. Okay.
I don't
Can
know.
I ask a question?
Yeah.
Was the court at a courthouse or was it a magistrate?
At the courthouse.
At the courthouse. What laws did they say you broke? Because as
I
far as I can see, it's
I had a
police
lawyer
broke the
deal
law.
with it. I don't know. They can't tell me anything. Nobody could tell me anything.
Well, that was the weird thing. I mean, she was
exactly
being
I would
charged
have paid nothing.
a criminal citation.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. So
I didn't have to pay any fees. I just had to pay the lawyer. I didn't have to pay any court fees or anything, thankfully.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. So this experience has really opened your eyes to, I think, just speaking philosophically and speaking broadly, it looks like small business infrastructure, whether they are decent small business owners like Kimberly, or whether they are not so great like the owners of the Rise and Shine, all small business infrastructure is kind of under attack right now. And we wanted to, bring you both on to give each of your individual and unique perspectives in your experience as the attack is going on.
Mm-hmm.
You were, collateral damage, Kate, because you were working. You were spread pretty thin at the job. You were not only managing, but you were also serving, and yet you weren't getting the pay that you deserved. So that's another issue with labor in our country in general. I think where the working class has been sort of shoved aside, and forgotten. They're not getting the kind of pay that they deserve. So what we're looking at is, with your experience, is that again you were the collateral damage for this larger attack on small business infrastructure. And so what have you taken away from this experience? How are you moving on with your life? How are you coping and dealing with this?
Well, a lot. I've taken away a lot on a personal level. As I've grown older, it's like every year I like stop letting people take advantage of me more and more. But it's like, God, it seems like so I'm not playing victim. Like I worked for this woman. I allowed her to take advantage of me. I take full responsibility for that. And I have told her that. I let her do that. So on a personal level, don't give people more than they're ever going to give you. Don't be generous with people who aren't generous, so that's one. I went in for the good fight, but I mean, and I guess she's all in because she has the money for it. So, you know what I'm saying? It's like, if you have the backing, if you have the money, maybe you can fight harder. But if you're poor, what have you got? And that's why a lot of people, I don't know what I've come out, if there's more clarity. I mean, it's like there's confusion and there's clarity. It's like, if you're poor, you don't have much of a fight. And a lot of these $15 an hour cops, who didn't want to do what they did, like, I'm an empathetic person. I felt badly for them to a point, because they're also they don't have to be a victim. They don't have to do it either. So it's, for me, it's just personal choice and standing up for what's right and standing up against what's wrong. What I've taken away, I've don't open a small business.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I've actually thought of that. My mom had a breakfast. She had a cafe when I was growing up, and she did really well. She worked really hard. She was there every day. She trained people well, and people loved her. She held the babies. She knew what people wanted, and so she did well financially. And that was in the 90s. But I also know how difficult it is. And I thought back then, okay, well, the internet's coming up, so like, don't have a business that has any overhead. Do something online. that's still my takeaway.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're just in this weird. We're in such a weird spot. We're just in this. We're still like, our community is behind Rise and Shine because what they're fighting for, and she's still holding Patriot events and all this stuff. And although I know her employees aren't happy still, like,
Yeah.
It's a mixed bag. It's like everything. We're all out for ourselves.
Yeah.
And we're trying to be community. In Asheville, it's all about community. We're trying to be community. But when you have, narcissists and sociopaths in the community, and they're, you get two people who, are patriots or don't want our rights infringed upon, don't tread on me. But a lot of those people, there are normal, sane people, and then there are people with mental problems. There are people who are givers. There are people who are takers. And so and in the end, we're just really all out for ourselves. So take care of yourself. Maybe you'll find, and I hope to.
I actually think that that's very good advice. Take care of yourself. If we all can come to this situation with strength and feeling empowered about doing what we need to do to take care of ourselves, then we all can come together as, collectively as empowered individuals.
Yeah.
If we're busy trying to put out everybody else's fires and nothing's left for us, then, then we come broken and scattered, which this is a really good opportunity now to bring in Kimberly, who has an incredible story to tell here in Pittsburgh. So we live in Pittsburgh. We've been to Kimberly's Cafe, as we mentioned before.
Yep.
And Kimberly is a bit of a celebrity. She's been on, her story has been on the news a few times. And so what we'd like to do, did you want to start with
well, let me show her website real quick.
There's the website.
Okay.
This is Kimberly's restaurant. Very sweet. Kimberly, tell us about what's going on.
Oh, do you want me to start at the beginning or what's been happening?
I think what I'd like to do is let me run this video clip, and then we can kind of go from there if you'd like.
Okay.
Yeah. Hang on just a second.
See if you can do that this time.
I know, right? Well, I have yours for sure.
I know, right? Please be the right
dear
one.
Lord.
Okay, so
that's
the owner of a local restaurant who refused to close during recent COVID-19 mitigation efforts finally gave in.
The Cracked Egg in Brentwood was closed today after a judge ordered it to follow COVID restrictions or stop doing business. Paul Martino is live right now with details on why the owner says she's going to appeal. Paul.
Oh, keep going.
Yeah, Kim, she's a fighter, that's for sure. The owner of the Cracked Egg for months has defied orders from the Allegheny County Health Department to either follow COVID-19 restrictions or to close its doors.
Okay, so
did y'all see that?
I see it, but the sound is low.
The sound was low.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let me see. This is Okay. All right.
So Kimberly, according to that news clip, which I really can't stand the corporate media. They just really butcher the true stories. I felt that the second guy that spoke was a little more sympathetic to you, calling you a fighter. And that is really ultimately what defines you. So tell us your story.
Well, in August, when the pandemic happened, we did our part. We did the takeout only, and our community really supported us. It was just me and my son for the first 2 weeks. Then we got busy enough, and then we brought one of our cooks, Travis, back because he wasn't getting the unemployment either. So we did the takeout only. Then when we did the outdoor dining only, we did the social distancing, all that. But what we never did was require masks. So then, like Kate's neighbors, they called, the snitches are real, and the media is fear mongering, and people are scared of it. But we chose not to require masks because it's not our job. We will never violate anyone's rights. We don't know if they have a health condition. It's not my place. We are not in the medical field. So they came for us hard. They would call, then they started coming in. And then in August, they came in twice for 3 hours each time. And what they were looking for is what I believe is to be a major food violation to shut us down. The health department don't come in for 3 hours at a time. They don't do that. They come in mostly at the end of the day and, check your records, your food temp, where things are stored. Are you taking your, oh my gosh, the word, but anyhow, they check all that stuff.
Right.
They don't come in for 3 hours. Okay. So then they try to intimidate you. We're going to shut you down. We're going to give you a fine. You're, whatever. And I never succumbed to it. This fight isn't just for our business. This fight is for God and country. And it's an attack on the American people. And I believe that if businesses stood up in droves and said no, we wouldn't be where we are today, because now this is an attack on the American people. This is an attack on the middle class. They want the rich, they want the poor, they want to control the poor, and we're not having it. Not today, Satan. So they shut us down. They put a bright orange sign on our door on August 11th stating we are imminent danger to the public. Imminent means immediate. That means as soon as you walk in my door, you will surely die. There will be no time for a paramedic to come and save you. You are dead. That's imminent.
Clearly you can see that happen to us.
Clearly.
Clearly. So August 11th comes and they shut us down. I could not find any attorneys whatsoever. I reached out to the E-Team, Entrepreneurs Against Tyranny. And with their support and inspiration, we opened up August 24th, gave them the big FU, and was like, all right, no mask, no social distancing, no nothing. Okay. You're coming for me. I'm coming for you now. Okay. So we reopened August 24th with much fanfare, right? So then Wendy Bell had come for breakfast. Okay.
Now who's Wendy Bell?
So tell us who Wendy Bell is.
She's a radio host, right?
Okay.
So now with that brings even more how can I say? So not only do I want to kill grandma, which I am a grandma myself. Okay. I have 3 grandchildren. I'm not dead. So not only do I want to kill grandma being a business owner, not requiring masks. So now I'm a racist. Okay. Because Wendy Bell came to breakfast. So the social media, those fear mongers, they come at you.
Just to interject here,
yes.
Wendy Bell is a conservative radio host on an AM radio station, and that's why you got painted with that brush in particular.
Right. Yeah. And also to interject just really quickly, I had interaction with those people who were calling you racist, and they tried to do something with Photoshop, and I was like, you guys, you are just causing trouble. This is a photoshopped picture that is not at all true.
Yeah, I should have brought that up, but I didn't have it.
But anyway, so I was also on my own end fighting for you as well.
Oh, thank you. So in the beginning, that is really hard to take. the hate.
Yes.
I am in the hospitality industry.
Right.
I love pleasing people. Like, that is my passion. For me, I mean, we came from nothing. Me and my husband, we were on welfare. I've been with him since we were 15. We worked hard for everything we had. And what afforded us to the opportunity to fulfill a dream of mine was that my family, minus me, my husband and son, were in a major car accident, and my husband was ejected from the rear window, and he was degloved. All this came off. Okay, he was off of work for a year. Okay, by the grace of God, they were able to save his arm. Okay, but there's going to be a time where he is not going to be able to use his hand anymore, and that we knew he wouldn't be able to work on the road crew forever. Okay. So we needed something. So that money that we got for the settlement from this car accident, we used to open up a restaurant to give back to the community. And that's what we did for before the pandemic. That's what we did. We always gave back to the community. Sponsored people, gift certificates, whatever it was. And then we ran out of money, and then we had to remortgage our house, because I don't know if you know this. When you're an American born citizen and you want a bank loan for a restaurant, you don't get that. You know why? Because restaurant business is fairly risky. So I did not take a pay for probably the first 3.5 years, I think it was, because it all went back to our business. The restaurant business is not for the faint of heart, and you have to work hard for it, you know? But anyhow, so let's get back to the August 11th. Couldn't find attorneys. We open August 24th. The haters come for you, and that hurts. But it also makes you stronger, because the fight is only going to get worse, people. But on September 12th, I went to a rally in Harrisburg, and I spoke on the steps of the state capitol, and I encouraged other businesses just to open up, that the government is counting on businesses to do what they cannot, and that is to require masks. And I know that as a fact because I walked the halls of the state capitol, no mask. I walked in state-run rest stops, no mask. We voted no masks, but yet they bully and intimidate owners to have their guests and staff wear masks. Doesn't make sense. It's absurd. They want us to do it. And it's going to come again in the form of vaccines. But anyhow, so September 17th, I receive an email, and it's from a Patel. I can't pronounce her name. Whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
And it says,
she's
open this package
for the county. Yeah.
I delete the package. I'm like, I don't know who this email's from. The very next day, I get another email from Patel. And now it has the Allegheny County Health Department logo on it. The package is safe. It was too large. You can open it. Here is the password. Well, I plug that password in and I open it. And it is over 300 pages with pictures from our social media that they filed for a injunction for us to cease and desist operations. Not 10 minutes later, I receive another email from Judge McVeigh's law clerk that my court hearing is Monday at 9 a.m. They gave us one business day to find attorneys. And by the grace of God, I did. And Lample Law Firm in Pittsburgh has been a godsend. True patriots. Now, we did pay a respectable retainer, and I'm grateful that we had that. And we have a GoFundMe page and all that. So they took our case and they moved it to federal court because, like they said, we're not going to win in state court. So then we filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy, which is a reorganization. So then 2 months later, because we're in imminent danger, the county went again and asked for our case to be brought back to state court because they wanted us closed. Because still you got those snitches, they're not happy unless, everyone's wearing masks. So they had their day in court. We had our day in court. We had a 3-day evidentiary trial, January 27th through the 29th. We had expert testimony. I had an OSHA expert, Kelly Miller. We had Dr. James Lyons Weiler, and I had a friend of ours that I made tons of friends during all this, which COVID really is a blessing when I think about all the people I have met. The people that are out of my life have been replaced with awesome, patriotic, God-fearing people. And so Mogi, that's his name. So he was great. We should have won it, but that judge is corrupt and there's an agenda. Okay. So he says, no, you guys are imminent danger. And basically, he doesn't think that the Constitution has a problem with masks. They're fairly inexpensive. Are you kidding me?
Right. Yeah. I have a couple quotes here. And
yeah, JP's.
It's like, he says, Judge McVeigh says, they've largely chosen their fate. It's a simple, relatively inexpensive, protective measure. I don't think the Constitution has any problem with that. As if we're thinking about the inexpensiveness or the cost of masks as opposed to the cost of our freedoms. But also just like, what does that have to do with anything? It's not about people not being able to afford a mask.
Right.
It's about, constitutional violations.
Right.
Exactly. And what about, they wanted me to refuse service. So they want me to ask people, well, do you have a medical excuse for this? You know what I mean? No, I'm not going to do that. That's a HEPA violation.
Right.
I am not doing that. I did make the mask available. If you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. I'm not telling you what to do with your body. Right. And now that this has gone on even longer, it's really an attack on our children, okay? Because we're fighting now. They take out cursive out of the school. What? So they can't read the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, right? They put our children in fear of us, fear of masks. Are they out of their minds?
Right.
People need to
really
wake up. They're coming for our children. They're coming for our children with masks and the vaccines. And people need to wake up and realize this. This is so much bigger, and these children that are being raised to wear masks, they're our future. They're the ones going to be taking care of us. How scary is that?
Yeah.
They're going to be scared to death. We're going to all die lonely. No one's going to be able to clean us. It's
Kate, what do you say about
it's robots. The robots will do that.
Kate, what
the
are you?
robots? Yes.
Yes. Kate, I see you laughing. What do you think about?
Good luck. I don't know with the kids. I mean, I work with kids, and I get that one side, but on the other side, I meet kids who are 20s and younger, and they just blow me away. So just like there are people like us who are awake to this and we see all of it and we're not going to stand for it, we're not going to sit down for it. I think there are kids out there that are, they're impervious to this kind of control.
Right. But the little ones that are in school now.
Yeah.
First, second, third, fourth grade, all of that are being indoctrinated into this stuff.
I feel
that's what we need to worry about, and we all need to really study and know and teach the Constitution. It's really our fault too as a people. And for me, we were just, living the American dream, thinking that our government is protecting us and fighting for us and keeping us safe. And no, that's not what happened at all. And they're still after us. But getting back to the story. So anyhow, he ordered us to be closed, cease and desist all operations. Of course, mandates are edicts, but his ruling is law. So we did close for business as usual. And what we did was we had events, freedom of speech, freedom to assemble, freedom to petition the government. We had events at our location, and we took donations. And people are very, very generous. And they have kept us able to pay our bills at the restaurant so that we have our platform to fight back. Now, our appeal was heard on June 7th by a panel of 3 judges sitting in Harrisburg. Today is what, Friday the 26th?
Friday the 25th. Right.
25th. We still have not heard. Basically, they don't want to make a decision because they even had said, well, isn't this moot? You know, the vote on May 18th. Masks are, you know, out on January 28th. But no, we want a rolling.
Right.
You know?
And this is Judge Cone Jublier?
That was a judge. So Judge McVeigh, who heard our first hearing.
Okay.
He was the one that ordered cease and desist.
Right.
Then we asked for a stay. Of course, he denied it. Then we took it to a judge sitting in Harrisburg, and that's the GBA.
Okay.
And she denied it. Okay.
She
so
did.
now a panel of 3 judges heard it on June 7th.
So, you know, I was curious. Yeah, they're putting up, but you know, I was looking at the Tribune, Pittsburgh Tribune story that you sent me, and she was very, she seemed very passive in this exchange here, and as if, so she's looking at it like, she asked, "Is this true? The beginning of April 4th, the limits for capacity will rise to 75%," and the whole argument was like, you know, we're having trouble staying open at, you know, we need to be open 100%, and you're limiting us, and you're telling us that we have to, you know, make people wear, you know, face coverings. But like, you know, every argument that was sent, you know, that was stated, the judge came back with, okay, I understand. Right. And it was just like, it was very strange to reading
she seemed really impartial. Not invested.
Not a good impartial.
No, I think that there's someone behind the scenes. Like,
go with that.
Yeah, go with that. Yeah,
absolutely. They are scared to make a decision.
Right.
You know, and everyone's like, oh, all the restaurants out east, you know, all their cases are dropped. Well, yeah, they're not in Allegheny County, are they?
Right.
You know, totally different. It's apples and oranges. You know, they were taking those restaurants to, you know, just following with the magistrate. You know, we were going to the common pleas court. You know what I mean? Like, our case is huge for Pennsylvania, and we want a rolling because of you know, HR 106. Okay, so the governor doesn't have his powers anymore. But when the Senate and the House signed HB 854, that gives the Department of Health and the Department of Education full power until September 30th. And what comes at the end of September? Cold and flu season. And then you're going to have the side of COVID, and they're going to come after us again because people die. It's just part of life. I'm not being insensitive, but I'm just saying, I mean, it's part of life. You cannot live your life in fear.
Right.
You can't. And everything we do now has to be for God, because this is just a blip in time. We have eternity that we need to fight for, you know? So going against our God-given freedoms and liberties, and those others that participate in the propaganda for the demise of the American dream, it's their fault. It's no longer Governor Wolf's fault. It's no longer, you know, our legislators, we need to hold them accountable for it.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And even the, you know, even the ones who are apparently, you know, helping, still are, you know, and I'm not going to get into party politics, but I think it's on both sides. But
I think it's one party.
Yeah, it is
one agenda.
Absolutely.
One agenda, one party.
Yeah. And you get this grandstanding by so-called heroes that I don't have to tell you who they are.
Yes.
and they're not there to help you. They're there to basically help themselves. And the other thing too is I saw total politics going on there. Governor Wolf got what he wanted in the deal, and the Republicans had to make deals with the Democratic senators and representatives in order to get that statute to go through. There was no way they were going to get everything they wanted. So that's the typical situation. But in this case, I think there's also federal money on the line for the state that you were talking about earlier before we went on the air. That helps pay for things like unemployment and other things. And so they're all looking at that as well, because they're you've noticed that they're still getting the paycheck
Yes.
that you're not. And they're busy doing what they do, but they're getting paid all the while.
Right. And all they're doing is talking. That's all they're doing. Because then if you educate yourself, okay, which I was not, wasn't educated on it at all, and I still need more to learn. But you have to be aware of all the bills that are coming out. And then, so you have legislators and senators saying one thing, and then they're sponsoring and co-sponsoring over here. You know what I mean? It contradicts it. It contradicts it.
Yeah.
And you cannot idolize any man. None of them are going to save us. None of them. Okay. And they haven't saved me. Okay.
No.
They haven't saved. There was one that was asked to be testify for us, and I didn't get a reply, and that's okay. But a legislator could have explained to the judge how laws are made. That mandates are not laws, and that this is unconstitutional. And that's another thing. I think, like, even in Kate's case, those officers took an oath to uphold the Constitution, and by them giving them a citation, they are breaking their oath, and they are now enemies of the people. That's what they are. And they should have been given, they should be sued. She should sue those cops that came in and gave you that citation.
Absolutely.
They are enemies of the people.
Yeah.
That's what I want to do. I want to go after the health people that came in, that you violated our rights. There's a pursuit of happiness. You violated that.
Right.
You violated our freedoms and liberties when you came in and shut us down.
Right. You created the
and if we hold those people accountable, other people are going to think twice about coming for us. Right. This is outrageous.
Right.
I want to come back to, and just, to reiterate what you just said. I mean, they created the situation in which they are now punishing you for not following, right?
Right.
And so you're being, exactly.
Classic abuse.
It's very abusive behavior, and you get that from government.
Right. Trauma bonding, all of it.
All of it, yeah. But we have a saying here at Book of Hours is no heroes.
No heroes.
We don't have heroes.
No heroes. No.
I wanted to come back to your bankruptcy case. Now I know that you were having trouble, of course, because you weren't being able to operate at 100%, and then they closed you down. But you filed up bankruptcy before they shut you down completely. Now, it looked to me like your lawyer set that up as a sort of a strategy to prevent other things from going on. Is that what part
yes,
of
it's yes. Chapter 11, you pay your bills. So then you have these bills, and so basically, because I didn't understand it, you put these bills aside. Okay, so all right, I'm going to hold these off, and then once our Chapter 11's over, then I can pay them, which those bills have since been paid. But because our bankruptcy went away, there wasn't a lot. We owe ourselves more than we owe, like, U.S. Food or Cintas or whatever, you know what I mean?
Right.
So it was a strategy to have protection. but since we were eminent, and I also want to say that no COVID cases have been linked back to our restaurant at all. I had 3 servers. I didn't request it. They had gotten sick. So my policy was, I don't even want you coming in here if you have a sniffle. Okay.
Right.
So, of course, so during wintertime, there were 3 people that had gotten sick and didn't come to work, and they chose on their own to go get a COVID test. All negative. The one even got 2 because she was sure she had it. You know what I mean? All negative. And I think that I'm grateful and I praise God that He has put a hedge of protection around our place, that no one has been sick,
Mhm.
because it's a real possibility, but you can't be scared from it,
Right.
Well, it looked like it was also a strategy to keep the other cases from going forward. The cease and desist. I think the one that came up that you were first contacted about.
Right.
So if
This is a legal strategy.
so if you have a bankruptcy going on, you cannot you don't have to you're not responsible for other cases that are against you. They have to be held set aside until
right. You got to save the
bankruptcy is over.
business.
Right. So in this case, however, that there was a stay on that. It's called an automatic order or something like that. And in this case, the bankruptcy court said, no, we're going to go with the county and the state, and we're basically going to say that we can hold off that automatic order. You can do what you want with this restaurant.
Right. Because that judge too, I forget his name.
Deller.
He put in his decision, all the pandemic, how many people died, blah 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 blah. We're in a state of emergency. The cracked eggs, imminent danger.
I was curious because
they broke their own.
They're breaking their own rules.
Right.
Who introduced that line of inquiry and that those talking points? Like, who introduced COVID language into bankruptcy
these proceedings, which don't have anything to do with the case, the actual case? You know what I'm saying?
The county.
The county.
Patel,
right.
The attorney.
Right. So they introduced that.
Let's talk about that, Joel, for a minute. Okay. So this is how bright they are. I didn't go to college. All right. I'm just a restaurant owner. Okay. She interrupts. So when you are court hearing, you have direct and then you have cross. Okay. Then the judge gets to ask questions of our witnesses. Well, Patel didn't like that. And Patel interrupted him and objected 3 times to the judge. It's just outrageous. What?
Oh my God.
I didn't hear you. What did you say?
I said, who does that?
Right.
Who exactly? An Allegheny County health attorney. That's who does it. And then Dr. Brinks, that's another one. The county's epidemiologist, that there's no false PCR tests, that they all are correct. Just, oh my gosh, I could go on and on. If you haven't read our first 3-day evidentiary trial, it is amusing.
Wow.
That's for sure. That's for sure.
Yeah.
The thing that killed me about Deller, and this is the bankruptcy judge.
Bankruptcy.
He said something like the debtor's defense to the motion was an overt challenge to the legality or constitutionality of the COVID control measure orders. Now, you didn't bring up COVID, the county did.
Right.
So how is it that he can say that? That's just outrageous. And I'm surprised your lawyer didn't go against that. He also said debtor's defense to the motion is essentially that this court declared that the COVID-19 control measure orders unconstitutional. So he declined to accept the debtor's invitation to insert itself into the fray. He could have easily granted the automatic stay without bringing that language into the court. And yet he chose to do that, but he's placing the blame on you. How awesome is that?
Right.
Because they have an agenda to follow. Right. That's why.
So this is very, we both have corporate backgrounds, and this is a corporate trick.
Right. It is.
When you are redoing your departments, when you're redoing your companies, you have to play these little tricks in order to justify why you need to shut down a department or reorganize the business somehow. So this is why we always say that it feels like all of us, whether we are, working or not, that we are all being treated like bad employees. So obviously, clearly, the medical industry has been co-opted by corporate interests. Okay, we all know this. But through both of your stories, what we're also witnessing is the suspension of constitutional rights in the interest of a corporate, like you said, a corporate agenda, or what I like to call a big corporate reorg, where they're infiltrating, all of our institutional support systems, which are supposed to support the people. This is why we vote them into office. This is why we pay our taxes into them. But clearly, there's so many shenanigans and so much grandstanding going on with your case. Clearly, they're bought and paid for by corporate interests.
Right. And you're being made an example of.
Right. And
exactly. They know that they know that if they would have granted the stay or he ruled that we were not guilty, then other restaurants, other businesses would have stopped because they have them in such fear.
Right.
And you have to stand by your convictions. And like I said before, this isn't just for here and now. This is for eternity. And I feel like I got to do what is right by God. These are our God-given freedoms and liberties. And I don't work for the government. I'm not in healthcare. I'm not going to tell you what to put on your face, and I'm not wearing one. And not to mention, even before all this, when they first came out with the mask things, what about the cross-contamination of that?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're constantly fussing with it. Then they're touching something and then they're giving it to you. They're not washing their hands in between, and the people that leave their mask on a table for you to pick up. To me, that's like leaving your underwear on the table.
God, right.
You know what I mean? It's just disgusting, the cross-contamination. It makes no sense whatsoever.
None whatsoever.
Wow. It's like they used their Kleenex and left it on the table for you to pick up.
Exactly.
That's very rude too, know?
Yeah.
What's going on?
They forget them.
Yeah. What's going on with the cracked egg right now?
Well, right now we're planning our grand reopening July 3rd. Okay, from 7 to 2.
That's somebody's birthday around here. I don't know.
Oh, is it? Is it your birthday, Julie?
No, JP's. It's JP's birthday.
JP's. Well, happy birthday.
Yeah, I'm gonna be 39 again.
39 again.
Again, yeah.
And again, and again, and again.
So you're reopening on July 3rd.
We're reopening July 3rd. Yes, from 7 to 2.
Good.
So we'll probably be closed, with them signing that HB 854 that gives the people unemployment. It is hard to find cooks. So we will probably, right now, we're planning on being open like Tuesday through Saturday, and we'll be closed Sundays and Mondays moving forward until we find enough staff, So we have servers, it's just the kitchen staff that we need. So,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And we're seeing, I've been seeing a lot of, help wanted signs, especially out in front of the corporate fast food joints. But, they're looking for people as well. But I think that, you want to adjust that a little bit?
Oh, a little. Our lighting is just really bad.
Lighting has been really strange today. So yeah.
Okay.
Yesterday when we tested this.
But and I think this is going on everywhere. Do you guys have you been having a lot of issues with finding staff? especially while you're closed? What's the
Well,
story
while
with
we
that?
were closed, I had my staff that's loyal, you know what I mean? And they had found other jobs in the interim. And then when I would have the events, they would come and work. And they did tell their, the employers that once, we open back up that they would be coming back. And, the ones that told me that, my two cooks are true to their word, and they are coming back. But we seat 100 people in our restaurant, so that is you can't run a business and push out food like that when you have that many seats. So there we have a back area of our restaurant. So now we're redoing that. And we're making it a retail section, and we'll sell our t-shirts. We got some cool t-shirts. I got shorts, I got hats. And then I have other people that are bringing stuff in to sell too. And then I was thinking, because our vendor events, we had vendor events, which that was awesome because I thought they were just helping me, but I found out that I was really helping them too. And that made me feel good that, because during all this, they weren't able to go out and sell their stuff. So I was thinking of having like a guest vendor every Saturday and have a table in the back, and they can sell their goodies back there, So, that one picture is Ricky with a free Kim. That cracks me up. That was in the beginning that was like in August. One of the other staff members, Dale here down there, he made t-shirts free Kim with like my Bitmojis. They cracked me up.
That's great.
That's good.
Yeah. Kate, do you have any questions? Any? Yeah.
More just comments for Kimberly. I mean, I feel for you as you're running a business, and then just emotionally and psychologically constantly you're getting hit with, energy from the state, words from the state, words from the public, energy from them about, they just want to project all this horrible stuff on you, all this abuse that they've been trying to do to everyone. I'm glad I'm out of it. I'm glad I'm not in it. I can't imagine having to put up with that all the time, and the walls that you build up, and just, I just am really sorry for that. It's all
Don't be sorry. Don't be sorry. We are proud and privileged to do it. The fight is fantastic. There are times where I'm really sad and depressed about it, but oh my goodness, does it give me great pleasure. And especially when like Wolf would have his live videos, like, when we were like still open back in August and September, and I follow him as the Cracked Egg, and I'd be like, hey, walk into the Cracked Egg, side of freedom served with every meal, So I would like, I would troll him a little bit, So when I'd feel bad, I'd troll Wolf, and I'd get a big kick out of it, and then I'd be happy for days. Like, haha, look what I said to Wolf.
So go ahead.
Yeah. So she's referring to Governor Tom Wolf, who is our governor, and he
in
would
the state of Pennsylvania,
and he would go live, or the governor of the state we currently live in, which is Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And he would go live, and this is a really interesting thing that you bring up. If you look at your representatives who color is opposite. If you look at our representatives when they do go live, and you okay, we look ghostly over here, and just like
now you look beautiful.
I don't know what's going on with our lighting, but if you look at the comments, all the comments are nothing but get out of here. Nobody believes you. Nobody's believes this bullshit, and it's just nothing but trolling on governors or anybody, like health departments. So clearly the people, the working class, us peasants, clearly we are not buying the bullshit anymore, because they will sit there and grandstand and say, like, oh, there's another COVID variant, or there's another, issue, or we need to
infinitum,
and constantly, and yet the people are saying the opposite. If you really look at the comments,
well, people are waking up. Well, just like me, me and my husband, when this first happened, we followed their rules and regulations. We didn't know what was going on. You got Trump on there, you got Fauci, you got all these people saying things, and you don't know them. If you would have asked me 2 years ago who our governor was, I would have been like, duh, I don't know, because I wasn't political. You know what I mean? I wasn't. I could tell you who the president was, but I wouldn't have been able to tell you who our Pennsylvania governor was because he never affected my life before. So something didn't seem right to me. And when he did say close 2 weeks to flatten the curve, and my husband said to me, I was upset. I have to call my staff. And it brings back those memories.
I'm sorry.
Because you didn't know if they were going to get unemployment. You didn't know that stuff. I'm sorry. It just brings back those memories.
They also messed with the unemployment.
You got to call them and tell them you don't have a job,
Right.
And then my daughter was still scared from it. And we have 3 grandchildren. I was kept from my grandchildren for months, not seeing them. So it's not like we didn't try. My line was, I'm not going to require masks for anybody. And these people that come after you, and I'm not crying because it affects me now, but it's just like reliving that.
Yeah.
The triggering. Yeah.
It's a trigger that we did what we were to, but we woke up, and people need to continue to wake up and realize that this is an attack, not only on the Americans' dream, but our children. So that's what it's not over. It's not over.
No, and
We've got
they're
a
going
long
to
way to go.
Yeah, and they're going to continue doing these things to us,
Right.
and and it's
Yeah.
I'm hoping that people start standing up. Unfortunately, people have disappointed me a great deal over and over and over again.
Right.
We called the BS on this right from the beginning. We put out a video last May in 2020 called Quarantyranny, and may have even in April. I don't remember.
Right.
But
it was very soon after the national emergency. Lots of footage from.
We called this out, and and the thing is, the Governor Wolf of Pennsylvania was no different than the governor of the state that we came from, Newsom. Yeah, and we knew him from being the mayor of San Francisco, where we come from. And and he's just as horrible and oily as all the other governors that came out and did the same exact thing. And you have to wonder, they all had the same language, they all did the same things. Was it a pandemic that just came out of nowhere, or was this something that was planned and put into effect? The language was all the same. The actions were all the same. And so, that after you step back and start seeing the patterns, you understand that this is being done to us deliberately.
Right. And oh my gosh, think of the elderly. I mean, that was another thing too, back in the beginning. Our elderly in homes alone, not being able to take, and if you've ever had a loved one in a home or in a hospital, you need someone there with you to make sure you're being taken care of.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
That's true.
And then shutting the schools down, another attack on our children. Not every child has a perfect family life. There are children that count on going to school for some kind of happiness and love and attention and maybe some food. Like they're really going. The more time that goes on and the more people that I become friends with and I get knowledge I learn from, I really understand that this is an attack on our children.
It really
Because
is.
it isn't just for like in decades, maybe 2030, 2040. We may be able to hold it off, but when we're dead and they're coming for our kids,
right?
Yeah.
Go ahead,
It's
Kate.
always been an attack on the children, and I went down a bunch of rabbit holes years ago. So I knew right away when this COVID thing hit, I knew right away it was BS. I knew right away it was control. I knew right away it's another way of going for the children, because like you were saying earlier with the younger kids, they're being brainwashed early. I mean, and if you know anything about children, I've worked with them my entire life in private, personal, public school settings and therapeutic settings. The way you can train someone's brain, a child, is a big deal. So they're all getting, this is the PTSD generation. Some of them are going to come out warriors and courageous. But a lot of them, when you say people are waking up, yes, they are. But those people who see it, they see the connections and they see it's all wrong. They're still getting vaccinated. They're still wearing their masks. They're still trying to talk out of both sides of their mouth saying, well, they don't really understand. They're as confused as they've always been in life. And I'm just here to say a lot of them are cowards. I'll just speak to you. You're cowards. And if anything makes me angry, there are too many cowards out there. They're all passive.
There are cowards.
Sit down and they want everything to be fed to them. And they still they can see it. They can see it. But just like my experience in my whole life, I'm probably like you guys and one of the very few people who will stand up and say enough. One of very few people who will stand up when someone is being abused and stand up for them and say no, or stand up for yourself. Not so many people don't do that. So many people just sit by and they let everybody else do it, or they're just so confused in their own minds, in their own space. People aren't doing anything. People are waking up. Yeah, you're getting a little bit of light bulbs going off, but like, do something. Do something.
Yeah, and with the propaganda that's been coming at us for the last year, it's been coming at us before that, and we just didn't realize it. There was a law that was passed that allowed us all to be propagandized to by the media, and this happened during the Obama administration.
Right.
But there's no. It doesn't matter what the stripe on the president's lapel is. If it's red or blue, they're all in on it together, and they're going to do things that will take away your rights. And they've been doing this for the past 40 years,
right?
Just chipping away at your natural rights every single year.
Yeah.
I did want to address. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kimberly.
No, I was just going to reiterate that that's why we should not idolize any politician or worship any politician whatsoever.
Feels like it.
So
yeah.
False idols, right?
False idols, right?
False idols.
Only God. Yeah. Put our trust and faith in God.
I wanted to mention. We've been talking about the children, talking about schools and education. I just wanted to bring it up. Next week, we will be talking to a woman named Lynn Taylor, who's also in North Carolina. She calls herself the Common Core Diva, and she's been investigating Common Core education for the past, I want to say 18 years, something like that. And we've had her on before, but we're going to have her on back. So for those of you who are watching, this will be next Wednesday, I believe.
Right.
So,
it's the end of the month.
So,
at the end of the month.
So check our Facebook page, Book of Hours, and you'll see the times and date for that.
Right.
Look forward to that one.
Yeah, we're going to go over the STEM curriculum. We're going to focus, we're going to target that curriculum in particular. We've already had her on twice, so we wanted to take it in sections. So this will be the next, sort of the next installation of our conversation with her. There's so much going on with the educational practices. It's complicated, but it's not. You basically have the right idea, both of you, that some are going to come out warriors and some are going to come out damaged. Right. And we got to try to keep the ones from becoming damaged.
Right. And that'll be, that program will be next week, Wednesday, the 30th at this time, 11 a.m.
At 11 a.m.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So we like her a lot. She's really informative. Former homeschool teacher, really involved in the educational system.
Awesome.
We're getting to about the 90-minute mark. So
okay.
Why don't you make us small and bring them up? So okay. I'm really, really glad that you guys came and told both of your very unique, or make us small and bring them.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know if I can do that. We were playing with this before,
right?
And it didn't quite work out.
I wanted to bring you both up, and we would be small, but but I like each of your unique perspectives on the situation that you're in. You coming, you were part of the working class, Kate. You represent that invisible, unseen, often muted voice in the American lexicon, where we just don't hear what the workers are feeling and going through. uh, Especially in this situation, it had already been bad enough before, where our labor industry was just getting chipped away at,
Hmm.
you
Well, and I
know,
think Kimberly also represents the self-employment
and
aspect,
Kimberly
and
represented this,
especially within the working class context. And so I
right?
think that that's this, you both bring that voice to what we champion, what we bring, in our shows, as well as in our video work, other video
Yeah,
work.
we
Yeah,
try.
we try to do that the best we can,
Yeah.
to give voice to that.
Yeah, that's where we begin, is with the class perspective. And I think what we can, this is a cautionary tale. I think that the those that are watching the greatest depression, because we are in the middle of a depression. Okay,
Yeah,
people forget that.
yeah, well, they're hiding it from us as
Right.
well.
It's the media is not talking about, the this
Economic depression that we're in.
economic depression that we're in, this war on the small business infrastructure, this war on the working class. So there are people that are watching the depression go by from the comfort of their, corporate paychecks, or their, they still travel, they still are living their life over the last year without any real changes, or they haven't really suffered, they haven't gone through anything. Eventually they're going to feel what we are all feeling right now.
Mhm.
This is a cautionary tale for them. It's, I find it interesting that so many people who are part of the apparatus that is targeting people like Kate and people like Kimberly are being paid to target them. So, the process servers, the health department, the cops, the judges, and all of the people that are targeting,
The politicians.
then the politicians, all of the people that seem to be uh, playing games with your life, they're all still getting their paychecks. They're all still going on their vacations. They're all still putting their kids through private schools.
Hmm.
And
They all really lack integrity.
they all lack
Exactly.
integrity, of
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
course.
Yeah.
So, eventually there will be another phase of this, that more and more people who are sitting comfortably by are going to be affected in the same way that you guys and that we have been affected.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So I think bringing your perspective onto this platform has been really beneficial for our audience, for your friends and your audiences. You each come from very unique places in life, and I think we can all learn something from
For
you.
sure. For
Yeah.
sure. Um, we've had some comments all along, but I don't want to get into them. They're just basically, agreeing with everybody. So no questions necessarily, but
Yeah.
yeah,
The
but
comments have been really positive.
they've
Thank
been
you
really good. Yeah,
for, not for keeping it polite, and
yeah. And
helping to support these two women.
right. And let me just say,
Thank you.
we have viewers on Facebook and YouTube right
YouTube,
now. So yeah,
right.
but we also have viewers on something called Rockfin, and on Periscope via Twitter. So
Right.
we have a good amount of people watching.
So
Oh, good.
let's bring Kate up, and Kate, let people know where they can find you.
Kate Feathers, Facebook. I think I'm pretty searchable.
Okay.
I'm still working on a website, but yeah, if you just search my name in Asheville, North Carolina, there aren't very many of us, so you can find me there, and that's the best way so far to contact me and stay in touch.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Good.
And Kimberly?
Oh, they can find us at 4131 Brownsville Road, Pittsburgh, PA 15227, starting Saturday, July 3rd from 7 a.m. till 2 p.m. And we'll be open Tuesdays through Saturdays. Also, we have a website at www.crackedegg.com, knowing in that cracked. And there you can sign up for our email updates and get more information too. You can view our court transcripts too for some fun, So that's what you could do. And then follow us on Facebook. We're on Instagram, Twitter, and Telegram.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, you got it
Yeah.
covered.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, ladies, for joining us today. It's been
Thank-
wonderful conversation.
And don't
Thank
go away.
you, Julie and JP, for all you do.
Thank you.
All you do, trying to educate people and having your, podcasts out there and all you do. Appreciate it.
Thanks. We'll be back with you after the program, but we want to wrap up the show for today. Thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. God bless.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
All right. Wow. So
yeah, that was a great conversation. I would like to have more people coming in to talk, more than just one guest. I would like to have multiple guests. I think that would be really fun.
One of our guests earlier, a couple of weeks ago, requested to be on a panel if we ever had one. So we'll have to come up with that.
If you guys do that,
we're on Facebook.com/Book of Hours. You can contact us there, or Facebook.com/Book of Hours Media. You can contact us through there as well. And if you have any ideas for programs, that would be pretty awesome. Yeah. Next week, as I said, we'll have Lynn Taylor, the Common Core Diva, talking about education. And if you feel like you want to help us out, you can become a member of Patreon, patreon.com/Book of Hours. I know we said we weren't going to do this, but I still want to do it. You can become a patron for as little as $2 a month. You can also go to paypal.me/Book of Hours and make a one-time contribution.
Great, a one-time donation.
You can also go to rockfin.com/Book of Hours, and you can use the tip jar. You can give us a tip, or you can sign up for $9.99 a month, have access to our premium content, and as well as all the other content creators out there and all their premium content. So that's kind of awesome. We get some money out of that, and then you get access to lots of content creators out there. So it's a good place.
Yes, it is. And we'll see you again. We'll see you at the end of the month with Lynn Taylor.
All right. I'm going to turn this off, and I'm going to go back to here, and we're going to say goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Book of Hours are artists here to empower and embolden your response to the constant negative sound bites that attack your news and social media feeds. In order to continue making the video essays and art you've come to enjoy, we need your support. Make a one-time donation or become a patron. Thank you.